Hey guys, welcome to another brand new episode of Tea with Tay Pod, the only podcast that brings the tea as it is hot. And speaking about tea, this podcast is proudly sponsored by my faves, Lipton. Now, today my guest is a singer, songwriter, and one of the best rappers to ever do it. His name is Jude Abaga. Yeah, you guessed it. It's Mr. Incredible himself, MI Abaga. Please put your hands together for my guest.
Me too, I
MI.
go join my own hands. Clap for myself.
I clap for you.
Hey, bro.
This has been a long time coming. No?
Yeah,
I've
man.
been chasing you. You know, you're a superstar, so you don't give us time. I'm not available. But I understand that you're working a lot.
Man,
Huh?
I've just truly, I'm such a fan of your pod. I've been looking forward to doing it. My wife too really loves you,
I love her
and
too.
she
She's so
she
sweet to me.
loves your pod. I'd even tell her about it because she would have forced me to do it like 4 weeks ago. She had maybe travel back to Nigeria to come and do it, but
I know how I'm talking to when I need to get you to do stuff now.
but I'm glad to be here, man. Looking forward to the
I'm
conversation.
happy that you're here. How are you these days?
I'm okay. You know, I'm in a great place in my life, and I understand why they say that as you get older, life becomes better. So I'm really like I'm really at a phase in my life where things are very clear, things are very I'm very purposeful.
Yeah.
It's like spend my time doing what I want to do, to achieve what I want to achieve. It's great.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm great. I just got back from holiday.
Come on, where did you go?
I went to Paris, I went to Amsterdam, I went to London, I went to Belgium.
Which of those cities has the best tea?
I think Paris. I think Paris. I just like Paris. I thought I was going to like. I'm not saying this so that London people can come for me, but I actually think that I like Paris a lot. So I'm going to learn French because of how much I like.
Yeah. It's so much style in everything in
Yeah,
Paris.
it's just the aesthetics,
Je ne sais
the
quoi.
air, the je ne sais quoi, the oomph. Paris has that. In the
Yeah.
morning, I'm I'm out there eating croissant.
Yeah, you
And
definitely have Parisian vibes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this script right there, act. When I was on holiday, right, in the morning, I would leave my hotel. So there's a cafe that I usually go to. It's 10 euros, right? So 10 euros can get you like croissants.
That's like
those are-
10,000 naira. I've been at 15K now.
Yes, now normal, how much do you charge for restaurant for you? If you go cafeteria, you know how much you go spend for that kind of thing.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. Good point.
So like I would go there in the morning, and I'm so sorry, guys. I'm gonna get to MI, but I will leave in the morning. As I'm entering it, I feel, I feel very Parisian, as I'm walking in and they're serving me the bread and sunny side ups, the runny eggs. I'm just like, this is my life.
Shut up,
Emma, you would know. They don't know. They've never been.
You go off our camera now.
They
The
go
podcast. They go tell you at the end of the podcast, bro. This sorry, camera had a fault.
Oh no, but I had a good time. I honestly think that the only way that I can survive as a creative right now is if I take regular breaks. And
Yeah.
That's why I do that.
I don't even think that we should think about it as creatives. We shouldn't think about our breaks as breaks. Like from the corporate world, like one of the top CEOs, Jeff Bezos, says that the most important thing that he does with his time is thinking. Now, most creatives, when they're thinking, they think they're not working. They don't count it as work. When you're watching videos, when you're replenishing yourself creatively, but you have to do it. Like sitting down, creating content, talking to people, it takes like you're giving of yourself. And replenishing that is actually an act of work as well.
The truth is that even when I'm on holiday, I'm actually not on holiday because I'm constantly thinking of my contents, and thinking is also a stressful process.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to sit down as a creative and not think. How about that?
Like really, truly, in every 2-week period, take a 2-day break where you turn off your phone and you don't do anything. You see that when you come out of it, everything is so much clearer.
So my issue is that my mind works on over. Like even when I'm sleeping, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Once I wake up, my thoughts are already all over the place, and I literally have to pray and quiet it. Yeah. Please let's get into this podcast because we're like.
Yeah, I told you.
45 minutes
we start gisting about other things.
Yeah,
now.
But my best episodes are episodes that the guest just comes and we just vibe. Like we're not exactly following any guidelines and everything. But I know that that's what you're going to give me on this episode. Yeah. You know, we know Mr. Incredible. We know the guy that's given us the greatest rap albums. I don't listen to rap, but I listen to you, right? So I feel like you're very interesting, but we don't know who Jude is. I mean, your family might know, your close friends might know, but to the rest of Nigerians and the world, who's Jude? Who would you say Jude is? Who's Jude as
It's a
a
very good question.
son, a family guy, a friend?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question, huh? I don't even know that I know the answer to that. You know, 1 year into marriage, I realized like halfway into the marriage that my wife was describing me in a way I've never heard myself. And I was like, oh, she's the first person that's had enough time with adult Jude to be able to even tell Jude things. Sometimes you're thinking, and when you're thinking, what is on your windscreen as a human being is what you're thinking about. But you're not aware of how you're acting as you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? And it's only someone that's with you that can be like, you know that you always do this thing. And then you have to be like, oh yeah, I do that thing. And so having like a partner, a spouse, makes
Mm-hmm.
you see yourself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I don't really know myself like in that way,
Yeah.
like I'm evolving. But I would say I'm a shy person, first of all. I'm a shy
You
person.
are?
Yeah. I'm a shy person. Um, I around friends, I tell a lot of jokes, I can be loud, I can be like,
Mm-hmm.
I think people don't see that side of me, the humor.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times on Twitter, when I get in trouble, I'm trying to be funny and sarcastic, and Nigerians are like, "No, this is what you meant." Blah blah blah. And I just, I'm chill. I'm very like low maintenance as a person. Like I'm in the house, I'm quiet. I like ironing. I like
You
reading.
like ironing?
Yeah, I like sit
Hey,
up.
I
I
should
sit
move in.
up.
I want to know what your childhood was like. You were raised by Christian parents, first of
Yeah,
all. Your father is a pastor. How
yeah.
did you end up being this
In the world,
in the world, like they would say,
secular artist.
Yeah, so, but I mean, you were raised in the church.
Yeah,
Growing up in the church is always different. And the kids that grew up in the church, we know them. And you're now a PK.
yeah,
So I'm trying to imagine what that was like.
yeah. My dad was like, he. So when I was cognizant, he was a pastor at the very, very early stages of my life. But then he became an evangelist, which is a little bit of a transition. An evangelist is like they're the Afrobeat stars of church.
Hmm.
They're the ones that do stadiums. So very early on, I saw my dad do like crusades. I saw my dad
He was
meet
on that
like
level.
yeah, I saw my dad meet Reinhard Bonke.
Oh, I know
You
Rehab.
know, go meet Benny Hinn, go meet David Youngicho, who are like church heroes.
Yes, yes.
That's what I just saw early on. My father he just said, "I'm going to South Korea," and just hop on a plane. We were like, "What?" Going to the airport was a trip for us. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because just is magical, so it feels like you have everything there. Then
Yeah.
this guy, is in his early 30s at the time, would just be like, "I am going to Israel," hop on a plane, come back. And the other thing about it is that church communities also at that time, at that phase in the economy of Nigeria, were also the perfect place for young people. Like that's why a lot of, you know, people come from those church communities. A lot
Yes,
of
yes,
music, a
yes.
lot of family
Yeah.
and friends around. So you have a lot of friends. So that was very helpful. Of course, the question you asked about what happens when you start transitioning,
Hmm.
my parents didn't really stress me about the music I was making. I think they'd seen me love music my whole life. But
Hmm.
I will say that there were a lot of pastors. Some of them are even my friends now. But when we left Jos and started the Chalk Boys, I even heard one or two preached on stage that, oh, these boys, they don't join Illuminati. They've, they've gone to the world. And even right now in Jos, I find a lot of young people that are very talented, that have global talent, that are struggling with that. Well, can I do this thing secular? Can I
Yeah.
step out of church and do this thing?
S-
Yeah. So
Is
it's
the
a
church community that big in Jos?
it's the most massive community. So Jos is sort of like, the higher north you go, um, both the Christian and the Muslim communities are probably more committed to their their
Hmm. Your
their
faith.
the practice of their faith.
Yeah.
The higher up you go,
Hmm.
in our country. So it has a very, very strong evangelical. I was brought up in Equa. There's
Hmm.
Coquin, there's Baptist, there's Catholic churches. It's very, very strong Christian community in Jos. Yeah.
So when did the music start for you? Was it in church or outside of church? I know that you had a lot of musical influences.
Yeah.
Like I read, like
Yeah.
you like the DMX and the
Yeah.
Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
Also, being a church, a PK, were you allowed
Yeah.
to listen to that? Were you
Yeah.
encouraged to listen to that?
It's
When
a
did the music actually start for you? Were you in the choir at some point?
Man, I was a star boy in the choir, man.
Energy.
Play drums. Even though there was a few people, I should actually use this podcast. You said the T, I should call names. People that treated, Michael Jordan, the famous basketball player.
Right.
His Hall of Fame speech.
Mhm.
When he got there to Hall of Fame, he had a long list of people. He said, "You didn't believe in me when I was 5.
Yeah.
You didn't believe in me when I was 10. You didn't believe in me. So maybe I should do that here." But yeah, I was like star boy. I did perform. I every summer I would gather my friends around. Some of them don't even like music today. I'd be like, "You're gonna play bass. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. We'll go and do a song. We'll prepare. We'll do the rehearsals. I would present it at the church." And
Christian music.
Christian music. So along the way, if your heart is to love music, you start hearing some music that you're like, what is that? When I heard rap music for the first time, I remember one of my classmates, because again, I'm a pastor's kid. I joined secondary school, and a friend of mine called Emmanuel Bio was rapping a Heavy D song to me. "Let it rain, honey, pop the umbrella. It has to go down smooth." I was like, what? And because my voice isn't great, my singing voice isn't great, I'm like, I found my thing, From then on, a strong head. So by the time I started putting out music, my parents were already like, okay, we know this is our son's calling.
Really?
And we know him. Because I was also a little bit, I was very driven about what I wanted to do. Remember, I've seen my dad do great things.
Yes.
I think this is part of the importance of what parents teach you without teaching you, right? So when I started, they were just like, okay. And I don't think they've listened to most of my music. In fact, early on when I started rapping, I wouldn't even use cuss words at all. Then by my mixtapes, I started doing small.
So by that time you were spirit filled. What changed?
I became industry filled. As when you enter Lagos, industry will say, let me see your pure heart, and let me say something about that.
Tell me about uni in America. You schooled in America.
Yeah, I'll start in uni in Nigeria first.
Oh, you did uni in Nigeria
1
too?
year, ATBU, 8 carryovers.
Where be that? Which school you carry 8 carryovers?
Bauchi, ATBU.
You know go class? 8 carryovers.
My head was just in my creativity.
Right.
And
You're probably this guy that would never come to class but be in the studio.
I went to study the quantity survey.
Quantity survey. The way that they go field.
Up to now, I'm not sure I can explain.
My brother.
What quantity survey is. I don't know if people have had this thing when you're entering university where they're just like, just enter this lane. Then you now just start entering the lane. You don't even know.
Do you know that that's how most of us went to uni?
Can you imagine how crazy that is? Think about the fact that you're competing against people in the rest of the world. When I went to America, my first year, the whole year, is focused on you picking what your course should be. They tell you to try different things. You have counselors to help you figure out this is what you should be doing. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, they just say, you're a quantity surveyor now.
So, but why quantity? Who picked it for you?
I wanted to do architecture, but my JAM score wasn't high enough. So they're like, okay, just go to QS. And you know how it is now. Your father will agree with the dean, will agree with the lecturer.
So just put him there after we change.
That's it. I was 9 quantity surveying.
Do you know how I chose my course? I think it was my uncle that walked into the room that day. I said, I've picked Unilag for JAM form. See, what do you want to be? I want to be an actor. Seeing that mom is not going to pay for anything that's not a serious course. Because my parents wanted me to be an engineer. I said, from where to where? How can I be an engineer? You understand? So I picked law because it looked like the most creative, thing that I could have gone with.
Did you do law school?
I did. I have a diploma. I just never went to collect it.
Chipetele.
Yeah. So I went through diploma in law. And by the time I was done with the diploma, I said, God, if I continue like this, I will never be successful in life because I couldn't understand what I was getting myself into. That's how they moved me to history. By the time I was doing history, I never stayed in class because I'm like, what will I do with this history, God? Even the history, I don't remember. But I can tell you that all the things I learned from that history, maybe na Mansa Musa finished. It was so funny. I don't know how I was always smart, so I got by, but I just knew that,
Yeah.
I
And
was
it's such a waste, right, for all us smart kids. Because
yes.
imagine they gave you something. Imagine like
Imagine I did creative arts.
imagine, and you had a professor like on the state side, they would be like, "You're so talented." Your professors would be like, "Look,
Mm,
what do you want to accomplish? Let's
mm,
set you on a path.
mm.
Let's connect you to this tutor. Let's
Yes.
take this extra course. Go do this internship."
Mm-hmm.
They prepare you for the world.
Mm,
And I think that in our country, that's one of the things that when we fix, we're going to see the true potential of Nigerians.
mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if there's like any nationalities out there that can compete with us in terms of that combination of culture, energy, and intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
But our systems here are holding us back so bad that it's really difficult for a young person to make it past by the time you pass through the system.
Yeah.
System don't point you go like this. Meanwhile,
Mm.
road not like this. You understand? You've been 4 years somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
and now you come back and you now have to, most of my friends were in the US. So it was very humbling.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in the US, to survive, the jobs I took was washing toilets, was cutting grass, I was mopping floors, I was sweeping, I was doing a lot of maintenance, cleaning, taking out the garbage. So I tell artists even up till today that when you see me in the studio, when you see me on stage, I'm always mopping the floor. Like I've never left that mindset since I left that place. So when I came back to Nigeria now, everything is collapsed. I immediately went and got a job. My first job was 9,000 naira per month
In Jos.
in Jos at an internet cafe. And what I was doing, I was working for 8 hours and helping people log into their email, helping people send emails and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
help maybe people make phone calls. Did that for about a year. Got from 9K to 30K. Now at 30K, that time studio session is like 10K. So every month I'll have like 10K. So I organized my brother, Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
Ice, all the young people in that
Mm-hmm.
area.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna form a label called Righteous Era, called Loopy Records. And we have our producers. One of our producers is a producer at the time is a producer called E. Kelly, who
Oh, I know
now
Ikeli.
E. Kelly works for Empower. He's like the head of music.
Mm.
He's produced for everyone from
Yeah.
Wiz to
Yeah.
and he was my senior in secondary school. So you're gonna be a producer. Jesse was a dancer and
So you just
superstar.
assigned them roles.
We organized. We did a photo shoot. We started
Ah.
doing a job. We did photo shoots. Started doing some artwork. I had another friend, Eddie Lapang,
Mm-hmm.
who was like a graphic designer. You're gonna be our head of graphics, and we set it out. And then I would just use the money to pay for studio sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought I was going to be the artist. I thought I'm going to put Jesse on and put all these other people on. But as we call the day studio now, people were not so serious. So I would just start recording music. And then one song I recorded got to the ears of Audu, who was the head of chocolate, who was starting Chocolate City and had signed Jeremiah Gang.
In Jos.
Audu was in Abuja at the time.
Right.
Yes, but
right.
he was signing Jeremiah. Jeremiah had this big song. Do you remember? Alana Bakazuchi. Yeah. So signed Jeremiah. Jeremiah and I are like we've known each other since we were like babies.
Yeah.
So, and at the time, back to the thing I was saying about mopping. Once I go back to Jos, I just make myself useful.
Work.
So I started managing Jeremiah too as well. I'm like, you're very talented, but I think if you have a team around you,
It would be great.
I would organize, would go to take him to events and stuff like that. Then comes Chocolate City. These guys, they have some cars, they have some small money. They find 2K that time, then get like, they go flash 20K. We go, hey, oh boy, we don't made it.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah sort of got signed, and through that, now I'm hustling on this side. So in fact, I had so many hustles. I was doing the music hustle on one side. One of the other partners at Chocolate City, Paul, used to be a brand manager for one of the brands, a cigarette brand. So he always needed someone to help him do like photographs and things like that. So he just found I was very diligent.
Yeah.
Again, the guy that mops. So he would tell me, I want to organize an event. I'll say, no problem. Tell me what you need. He would give me a budget. I'll return money back to him.
Hey.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Don't do that.
In they tell me now, say maybe the budget now 50K. He go give me maybe like 40K based on, you know what I'm saying? Say, let me under budget. Maybe I asked him for 30K. He go say, okay, no problem, I have 35K. He go for himself, say, how is this guy going to do it? At the end of the project, I'll come back and say, I have 12K for you.
You remember those people will be say, I know they like to work with them because they will cut.
I am for sure one of those people,
Hey.
right? For sure. So, or let's say I was for sure one of those
Okay,
people. Yeah.
so
So
both things are passed away.
yeah.
Because I don't like working with some people. Let us use the budgets. It is for a reason.
See, all things are passed away. I
Yeah.
love it.
But
But
you must have been that hands-on for people to trust you a lot with their
so imagine now from the group of these guys, I'll do Paul. They just see this young man that is just
on it.
I'm managing Jeremiah, I'm producing music, and then this one song now that I recorded just went through this ecosystem.
So how are you distributing your music? Because you're not in Lagos, right? So just is also like, I know that Lagos is the hub for everything, entertainment, right? So how were you able to distribute the song to the point where people were already hearing it in Abuja?
Nobody had heard it now at this point.
Mhm.
It's just in our ecosystem.
Right.
You know, you make a song, people in the studio have heard it.
Mhm.
You put it out with your friends. You say you're putting it out. At the time, maybe there's Facebook. You put it on Facebook or MySpace, something like that.
What platforms, like, so there was no like TV channels, radio, wasn't?
I mean, we didn't have access to that. Like Ice Prince at the time was much younger, and Ice Prince there's an OAP, one of the big OAPs in Jos. Ice Prince was their landlord. Ice Prince's family estate was housing this guy. So
Yeah.
Ice Prince used to get on radio, you know, but
Right.
the rest of us, it was only through the fact that we were just working so hard and building community and putting out music. We are organizing our own shows. I used to do something called jam session. Basically, we take our studio equipment, we set it up in a room, and we perform for 2-3 hours. Do you know what I'm saying?
To people.
To people. We just started inviting people in our estates, and
Yeah.
it grew to like 2,000, 3,000 people, you know. So I had like a whole community of entertainment, you know, like the shows we had a studio, we were doing all this stuff. And I think at the right time, it just channeled into a deal at Chocolate City. And to be honest with you, I'm not saying this. Okay, let me not say why I'm not saying it. I'm saying it for the benefit of young people that don't know what to do next. I'll say that if you stay focused on the thing that's in front of you, people are gonna notice how hard you work, even if the thing you're doing is not. It's like mopping. Like if you're working in a place and you see somebody that mops with diligence. 7 a.m. they're there, they look clean, they get out the mop, they do it, they're smiling. They say you're gonna notice.
Yeah.
That person does it for 2 months, and then when an opportunity opens up, it always goes to those people, you know. And I felt like I was just one of those kids at the time. By the time I came to Lagos now, imagine a rapper that's been doing shows, been organizing studio sessions, been writing, been managing artists. So it was like the rest of the game was in slow motion and I was in full speed.
Tell me about life going forward. So from that moment when Safe happened, tell me about the trajectory going forward. So your siblings moved. I mean,
My
Jesse
team.
and your team, they moved. Tell me about what happened going forward. Because the career just kicked off from that.
This is a good question because I moved in with Jeannie in, let's say, 2006. Jeannie and I became like proper roommates, like, let's say, 2007. Two of us in the house. And then my Jesse, Ice Prince, and Abuchi came and were living with me at Jeannie's place. Till like 2009, we moved to our own house in Abanikoro. Oh, happy day. The 2 days when we bought our first car, end of discussion, Honda.
Hey, that mood too.
My dear brother, me, Jesse, and Ice Prince were driving through the city of Lagos. We could not believe
that this was your life.
We made it now.
Yes,
we
from
own
Jos.
a Honda
Accord in Obanikuru.
And we're moving in one accord. Do you understand?
I love it. I love it.
What more is there to say is the end of discussion, you know? So
Cara fan of my one.
So, and then when we moved into our own house as well.
Yeah.
When we moved into I remember just being like, man, we've moved into our own apartment.
Where was the apartment?
Obanikoro.
Okay, yeah. Obanikoro still.
And that house is still within the Chocolate City. It's still being occupied by someone within the Chocolate City ecosystem.
Oh, that's amazing.
Up till today. More than we moved in 2008, so like 15 years now. We've kept that property. And it was a lot of happy times. Like there's a point in my career where I was talking a lot about the Chocolate City breakup because at this time, Jesse and Ice Prince were like closest friends. Jesse, Ice Prince, and Abuchi were such a closely tight-knit unit. We used to make music all together. We used to collaborate on songs. There was a lot of healthy competition.
Right.
Life was just simpler. We could share easier. Um, and but it was also very tough. No money. And it changes the dynamics because now, even though I was sort of the leader already from Jos,
Mm-hmm.
now everybody has to now start figuring out themselves.
Mm.
And because I came from America, I was giving my people American rules. When we moved to the house, I'm like, everybody here is going to pay rent. You know what I'm saying? I did it because I knew that having responsibilities forces you.
To be
It
on
forces
it.
you. So I'll tell this story about Ice Prince. And for every Ice Prince fan out there, this is all you need to know about Ice Prince. So when I asked, the first time I called everybody in the house, I was like, we were like 6, 7 guys here. I want everybody to pay 30K rent. I'm paying for the house. The house was maybe like 2 million naira. I'm going to pay the rent. But our monthly bills are like, let's say 200K. Internet, food, blah, blah, blah. I want everybody here to contribute. That's the prerequisite for staying in this house. The first few people that left were one of them was my egbon, and one of them was my classmate from school. They could even, these ones I have experience in life. They're like, man, we out of here, man. What kind of wickedness is this? They left.
With all the money you're making,
Ice Prince, who was the youngest in the house, he came to my room and he said, MI, but I don't have any money. Why are you asking me to pay rent? And the question was so sincere that I said to him, Ice Prince, because I feel like you are already uh, valuable enough to make money, and that the money is already out there. Some other artist is collecting that money. So I'm giving you this thing. I'm not going to kick you out, but I'm giving you this thing so that you start paying this rent. And from that moment, you know that you have a claim. I want you to do this. So Ice Prince, I want you to go out and start looking for opportunities. Do you know the next morning, like 8 a.m., Ice Prince got up and went out, and he found a job that day. He booked a tour to work with Sprites, 30 gigs across the country. When Ice Prince went and came from that DC, now imagine a young artist. Now he went to Enugu, went to Owerri, went to Ilesha, went to all these places. He saw Nigeria in a new way. When he came back, immediately recorded Oleku and all those records. And he even gave me African Rapper #1. He came back and became a hit machine immediately. He's like, he saw Nigeria. Now, let's go back to the moment of the rent.
Right.
That told me everything I needed to know about Ice Prince. Like, he heard this thing, rather than speculate, he was like, tell me, explain to me. When he understood it, he was like, I can do this. And he went and got it done. And, when people talk about like who I regard as some of the greatest rappers of all time, I feel like Ice Prince always gets neglected in the conversation for his real impact. We have to remember what Ice Prince did for rap.
Right.
Ice Prince was the guy that had global hip hop dominance.
True.
From Oleku to that period, like South Africa, he was just hit after hit after hit. When we started doing international artists, Ice Prince was one of the first. Now, international artists Ice Prince was recording with French Montana, all these guys going to the US, all them BT awards. Ice Prince was the nominee.
Yeah, true.
And I think it's just because he's just a chill, he doesn't toot his own horn, he stays in his own lane. People don't really, he should be in every conversation he's in. I think he should be in top 3 conversations. Like, he's really that impactful. He made such a difference to the genre and to Afrobeats and that movement forward. Ice Prince was there the whole time with Wiz, David, all those guys as he went along, so shout out to Ice.
Shout out to Ice Prince.
Have you had him on the pod?
No, I've not. I eventually
You're gonna have stories for you, man.
Yeah, I know him. Tell me about your relationship with Jesse, your brother.
Jesse Jack, the greatest.
So Jesse Jacks was like, I feel like he's great, but I feel like he just never wanted to be out there too much.
Yeah.
I feel like he wanted the work to be out there more.
Yeah.
I've never seen Jesse do like interviews or things. He was just very. I knew he's very talented, but he was giving me Sia vibes. How Sia doesn't want to be seen. And,
Good. Yeah, that's a good analogy. So there's a guy in our city called Puriwit. He's a basketball legend to us. Period used to score like Michael Jordan used to score in the NBA in Jos. But because of where he's from,
Mm-hmm.
he would never be appreciated in his lifetime for the things he can do. I know we all have someone like that. To me, Jesse Jaggs is one of those artists. Like I look at Jesse Jaggs the way I look at Bob Marley. Like here is somebody that as God was creating people, he said, your own gift will be music. You understand? The the thing about those people is that they are so deep and they're so powerful that a lot of times they are misunderstood. And a lot of times they show up in the wrong place and they're never fully appreciated, you
Right.
know. Um, but you just have to talk to somebody that really understands Jesse Jagg's music to know like the link between Jesse and his fans is like visceral. And I, as a younger brother, as an older brother, I saw it very early on. In fact, early on, I had to contend because remember, I was the leader.
Yes.
If I did jealous my brother,
It was the first, sure.
I go fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
I no go give him opportunity. So even before we left Jos, I had to sit with myself and say to myself, either you step down as a leader or you commit yourself to making sure that if Jesse is the star,
You would
you get out of
align.
the way.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing. Early on, Jesse was the star.
Hmm?
So before I blew up, Jesse had one song called Bend Down Low. The minute he recorded this song, all of us in the studio, we were like,
Fa-
so even when I started pitching us as a team to Chocolate City, I had to work a lot of times when people were ignoring me and they were like, no, this is the song.
mm-hmm.
This is the song. This is the song. This is the song. And I don't know if Jesse even knows this, but it was a conflict for me at the time. And I had to be like, okay, I need to do the right thing and make sure that everybody on my team gets on. And so I'm glad that I resolved it early on internally with me
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times as a human being, you have emotions that you don't know what to do with and you carry it on. But I was like, this guy is just so great. And and outside the fact that he's my blood brother, all that, he's just a great artist that deserves. So I just went full in and immediately I could, as soon as my own stuff had come out and done well, immediately I could. I was like, Jesse, 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 Jesse. Jesse Self just went to Abuja while the company was still trying to figure it out. Put out waiting day. Explosion. Explosion. And the rest is history. Um, but my relationship with him, we've gone through a lot. We've gone through a lot. I'm going to speak I'm going to speak as honestly as I've ever spoken about that relationship
Okay.
here because to say that, first of all, we're brothers. Do you have a brother?
Yeah, I
Do
have.
you have a good relationship with
Oh
your
yeah,
brother?
a very
Okay.
healthy one.
Brothers, like when you're somebody has siblings, there's a layer, especially especially if you grew up in a healthy ecosystem. No matter what happens in business, there's a layer.
Yeah.
And between me and Jesse, that's never changed.
Right.
So even people see us, Chocolate City, blah, 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 all that stuff. When Jesse and I have been in the room, it's always been love.
Okay.
As an older brother, I've also had to learn how to listen to him because he has so much respect for me that sometimes he would just make himself small in the room just out of respect for me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've also had some learning to do with with being able to say over time, like, but I would say that maybe we're in the best phase of our relationship as brothers now. Like when I go to Jos, Jesse lives in the most beautiful like home in Jos. Oh my God. Just peaceful. I just want to go to that balcony, sit,
Mm-hmm.
chat with him. We chat for hours, catch up, we laugh. He's in a great space in his life. And I think Jesse's gonna make music. Like I think now we're gonna see Jesse Jaggs. Listen, we can do this. Like I have some projects called the mixtapes. These were
Right.
for really like illegal music. In illegal music, like let me give you a simple one. This is talking about lyrics. I have a song that starts like this: Shorty, you're the one. I'm proud to be your man.
Mm-hmm.
Without you, I'm a zero. Together, we're a 10. If you think about the structure of those four lines, Shorty, you're the one. I'm proud to be your man. Without you, I'm a zero.
Mm-hmm.
Together, we're a 10. You see, it's a short poem, but with a one and a zero, if you put them together, they become a 10. Do you know what I'm saying? Without you, I'm nothing. But when you're coming with me, we become a 10. We become the totality of everything. You know, that is the beauty of rap. You understand? And
So
it's
poetic.
hidden in those things.
Yeah.
In this same tape, I think the next song, I have a line where I say something about Oh my God. Verbal pugilist. I spit into an iron mic. Now, this is now more lyrical, right? What's a pugilist? A fighter,
Mhm.
right? So when you talk about pugilism, everybody knows boxing. That's basically the art of boxing relies on pugilism, right? Which is even a word. Where has anybody heard the
But
word
who says
pugilism
which
before?
musician says pugilist?
But here's the point.
Where you learn that one
I
from,
said
MI,
verbal
please?
pugilist. I spit into an iron mic. Mics are iron, Abi.
Mm-hmm.
And the line, Iron Mike Tyson, right? Who is like one of the greatest pugilists of all time. Do you know what I'm saying? So with rap, you can take things and bend them and do so much with it. And at one layer, people are listening to you and they think they understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another layer where something is happening at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's going, and it's really beautiful when you can put both together. And it's beautiful to say. I used to say during my career, I used to get beaten up about this a lot. I used to say I'm one of the greatest rappers in the world.
I agree.
And the reason I say so is because whether or not in my lifetime people say so, I want Nigerian audiences to know that we produced a rapper that whatever they could do there, we were doing here.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I'm proud of that.
Tell me about your time as CEO at Chocolate City.
Man, so much sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
So much sacrifice. So much learning. So much planting without planting in faith. Let me put that. Yeah, you know me, I mean, like I feel as if I always break down answers into like serious, into serious things, but that's how I would encapsulate it. Now, let me add a little bit of narrative there. I'll do one day called me. I remember I had a red Range Rover at that time. I was driving back to Lekki, flexing. I went to the office we had an office. I had an office. I had a record label, Loopy Records, on the mainland. So I was driving back from Agada, and Audu said, "I want you to be the CEO of Chocolate City. I think my time here is done." Mama, I almost crashed the car. CEO of a record label. I'd never thought about it before then. But then he explained to me like he felt like he didn't have so much to give at the time anymore for the label point of view. He wanted to go do other things. And with all the challenges we had at the time, we had a lot of challenges. Jesse was leaving, Brimo was leaving, Ice Prince was like, am I sure I'm staying? We didn't really have a sustainability plan. A lot of the artists that were there at the time, we didn't really. We had a business on the island, but the staff there hadn't really built the systems they needed to do. It was, so I just jumped in, mistake after mistake, try after try, error after error. But immediately it became clear to me that we didn't have enough money to do what we needed to do. We can't compete. And I say so respectfully, but what we colloquially call the Yahoo Boy money was entering into music at the time. And there was now also, this is like 2015, people like DMW, when there was a period when David had taken off where they were like, okay, we're going to really take it seriously. And the budget, the Banj, I think was one of those people, DMW, it just became a different game in terms of the marketing budget, and we didn't have the money at the time, big brand. So I said, okay, what we can do, we can build a sustainability plan. Let's find the next stars. So we built that ecosystem. And out of that ecosystem, let me list the artists that came out. Caveman, Black Bones, CK, Candy Bleaks, and many more artists. I'm not going to take credit for a lot of these other artists because it's not direct. But from a label point of view, when you help one artist, that artist normally has 2 or 3 friends that can get closer. They can get on a collab, and now they're discovered by someone else. And and the program worked. We really slaved hard for it. I had an amazing team: Toda, Abuchi, Luz Kanon, AQ, L3, Biola. I'm forgetting so many people that worked with me. But that team, we just focused. We're going to find the next stars of the future. We're going to build the systems around it. We're going to do, and we said to do the work. And we were successful. We found stars, and we sold the business in 2019 to Warner. So that was yeah.
I feel like you still have some
A
money
lot to
coming
say,
from there,
Abby.
Shasha.
A lot to
Anyway,
say.
but I'm gonna move because time is fast spent, right? I I don't know. I want to put this in a way that is not disrespectful to the work that you have done. But you know how some people say that rap is not a thing in Nigeria
Yeah,
anymore. MI was the last great rapper from Nigeria.
yeah,
We've seen tweets about that. What do you feel about the conversation around rap now in Nigeria,
yeah,
especially with the work that you've done?
yeah. You know, so first of all, let's answer this in two ways. Why is rap valuable? Let's talk to that. And then secondly, the conversation around rap and rap's place in Nigeria's history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so rap is valuable because there's some trauma that people go through that other genres of music can't speak to.
Fair enough.
You understand? And rap, when black, beaten, bruised, degraded young men were like, we're gonna take back our dignity. Hip hop is one of the art forms that emerged. It's so powerful. I have lines like DMX line. He says, I wasn't given the chance of being a child with a father. My only talent is being able to survive when things get harder. My balance in the high beams of life keep my dreams afloat. It's like what we're talking about. Like we develop this skill of struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine hearing somebody say that as a poem, and this guy is a drug dealer, robber. So you're seeing the juxtaposition of this person's intelligence, but their pain at the same time. Rap is the only genre, and especially with what we've gone through in our world, the stories of Portable, Reminisce, Vector, Olamide, Da Green, and what those people have seen and what it means and how they share it with the world
Mm-hmm.
is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Rap is not just that, it's contributed to Afrobeats, it incubated Afrobeats. The Afrobeat stars were first singing hooks on rappers' songs. They took the lingo, they took the song structure, they took the slangs. Yo, man, the outfits, they took so much from hip hop. It's contributed to so much. It's such an important genre. Now, in Nigeria, only what is making the most money is valued.
That's I agree.
If people can critique Nigerian hip hop on any other thing rather than it doesn't make as much money as Afrobeats. And we have to think about that as a people. It's the only thing that matters how much you have. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, it's a values conversation about Nigeria. They're not saying that, like, over the last few years, there's been Files, there's been SDC, there's been AQ, there's been Black Bones, there's been Odumodu Black, there's
Mm-hmm.
been Boogie, there's been great rap music, as we've gone through this period. But the argument now is, but you guys are broke compared to these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that argument, hip hop is just the victim in this conversation, but it's a Nigerian value system. It's how we look at the world. And to me, that's unfortunate. I don't even take it personally as a rapper. I realize that it's something that's broken in the larger context.
Mm.
It's going to affect how we elect people. It's going to affect who we see as celebrities. It's going to affect who we respect as pastors.
Right.
It's going to respect
Who respect generally is a thing.
everything. Is
Yeah.
going to frame our context.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, um, I feel like there's also some stupidity around the conversation because right now, if you go look at the charts right now, hip hop is dominating. And I would put it to you that there's never been a year that hip hop didn't participate
Right.
as the second genre in a strong way.
Mm.
It's just, in life, sometimes, Taymesan, there'll be a story about you. And no matter what you say, that story will be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, human beings, truly, human beings in large groups are not very smart. Do you know that there was a crowd that was saying, crucify him,
Yeah.
crucify him,
Mm-hmm.
crucify him? I have a song where I said, it's on my last album about, say the shit is a war zone, it's a minefield. I've been studying the data just like a scientist. So you ask a mob for advice, you end up killing Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? If you go and ask the crowd, what should we do?
Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying? The wisdom is not in crowds. So when I hear the crowd speak, I just say to rappers, fix up, keep moving.
Mm.
Because what matters is that you can take care of your family.
Mm.
And now I think in that regard, rap is even better off than Afrobeats. Most rappers are building into ecosystems. They're getting other jobs. They're creating communities around. And I think rap is going to continue to do this thing. One more thing I'll say, I'm not abandoning the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Even in what I'm doing right now, I want to give all my life to hip hop because hip hop has given me so much. And as you said, like it is poetry. You
Mm-hmm.
go and listen to MI's songs. There's a story about what it meant to be a Nigerian that's more clear because it was written in raps.
Mm.
Do you understand? Money slow to enter. I didn't grow poor. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
grow rich. I was growing through the life, but we're in a ditch. I would look at some of my friends.
Mm.
It's a story.
Mhm.
And you can listen to other songs for that. Chop my money.
Mm.
But the poets, the African poets were also important. They're also in the museum.
Yeah.
They should also be in the museum. And as a people, we should be like, this is our artifact too as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We also have music. We also imagine us being like, fuck those artifacts from England. How much money do they make?
Mm-hmm.
We only want Afrobeats. It's sort of what we're doing to hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's, again, mobs can be stupid. We can make statements that will be like, later you look back and you're like, we're really all saying that.
Mm. How did you find Eniola?
How did I find her?
Yeah.
I went through a breakup. That breakup made me say, fix up. You, Emma, should fix up your life. So I fixed up my life. In fact, when I fixed up my life, honestly, being honest, I was in my mind, I was saying to myself, I'm going to get back with my ex. I'm going to take some time off, really fix on all this stuff, get back with my ex. And that just didn't happen. Time, we started drifting apart. We're not talking. And then at this point, one day I was like, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm in a place in my life now where I've done a lot of self work and I want to meet someone. So I was like, how do you meet? As a celebrity, how do you meet?
How do you date?
How do you date?
Do you go on apps?
I haven't tried it once. I think I have some. I have some
Which app did you use?
some accounts on Tinder and but there's no way.
Tinder na fashawo now.
There's no way because there's no way I discovered that everybody's
Yeah.
a real estate agent on it. You just see
Tinder,
Abigail.
Sari Wagba.
What's your work? Real estate. Age 23, 22. But anyway, so I was like, oh, I'll just ask people. So I asked Audu, and Audu was like, yeah, this girl.
You literally asked Audu.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm ready to. I was asking people, hey, I think I would like to meet
Someone new.
women. But let me tell you something. During the self work, I saw myself differently as well, and I valued myself differently. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna look for an amazing partner now. Like, what am I doing? Like, this nobody they push me, nobody they rush me. Let me find best of the best.
Yeah.
So it was not just that, oh, please help me looking for somebody. I was like, let me send out the scouts into the world to return back to me with a list of the fair maidens that I shall. And then Audi was like, you should. There's this girl called Eniola Mafe, and I was like, whoa,
Who's that?
okay, let's see. He sent me her picture. He said, as he was saying it, I pulled her up on Instagram. Now, when I was younger, I used to say that the woman I want to marry, this was a kid that has an afro. I loved afro as well as a child. So I pulled up her DP and she had an afro.
Was that when you decided that she was the one?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I was like, I went on her page. I'm like, are you guys telling me that this woman is not married? Like, that was my first thought. Like, is it that she's divorced? Like, based on what I'm seeing, like how she looks, the things she's into, are you guys actually letting me say that
Nobody has
she's
taken
not
this
married?
one.
You know, when you see those kind of opportunity, you go sit up.
Say ha.
You go sit up. You say, what did they go on here? So I now hit her up I followed her, just as I did, And then the next day, if you know Eniola, she loves everyone. So I don't even think she even put anything together. She just saw a story saw something on my stories. She responded to it the next day. We started chatting. Taymesan, literally, as soon as we started talking, we never stopped talking. We gisted. Like we gisted for the next time we spoke for 2 hours. This is the second time that we spoke. The third time we spoke for 3 hours. 3 weeks into talking to her. Now, my whole community, self, in a way, I felt like the expectation was not that I was gonna come with a new relationship, you know, at the time. 3 weeks, I don't call my guy loose. Ah, oh boy, problem deal, problem deal. Like 2 months later, she was coming to Nigeria. Do you know my niece? My niece tells the story because I have a very close relationship with my niece. Shout out to you, Jade. And she tells the story. She says she'd always seen me with other women, but when she just saw me with Eniola, she was like, "Oh, from day one, he's gonna marry this one." And what part of the reason that because I knew she was coming to the house, I went and she was gonna come by and visit. I went and changed all like the pots and pans. You know when you're on bachelor vibes,
Yeah.
I was like, "Omo,
What's going on here?"
because I don't already sit up. Not the joke for this for this same word where we did.
So you're really ready to marry. You're ready to settle down, and
I don't even know if I thought it was going to be my marriage. I didn't think it in that way. But when I met Eniola, I realized that I just met someone whose story I wanted to continue being part of. And that's just what marriage is. Marriage is not telling people, okay, we've agreed this. You know what I'm saying? And so everything then just flowed from there. Like up till last night, we were talking about it, and we are just like, she was talking about our friendship, and it's like, hey, I enjoy being your friend, and that's the way I look at it. Like I tell most young people, I'll say so to you too as well, about relationships and marriage. And let's not even use the word marriage here, because I realize that many people watching it have different experiences of marriage. So the word means different things to many people. What I'm talking about is being a committed long-term relationship, right? I tell young people and all of you guys here, that feeling that you feel that, am I alone in this world? Is anyone ever going to get me? Is anyone going to understand me?
that's where I am.
No one is ever going to understand you.
Eh?
You are actually alone.
A rude shock. I'm shocked.
The quicker you can accept that as reality, the more mature you'll be about life. Now, it's nobody's job to understand you because they can never. But now that you know you're alone, it actually makes sense for you to have a teammate. Like if you have to go through life alone, it would actually be better for you to convince one other person to be like, hey, can we team up? I know you're alone. I'm alone too. These are my likes and wants. Let me see your likes and wants. Can we reach a negotiation and just look out for each other, both of us alone? And that if you look for a partner that way, your relationship would be even more healthy because you're looking for things that are actually going to help you on your life path down the line. And so because I was looking in that perspective, like I'm looking for somebody who's going to walk with me on my own journey in life. When I met her and I just saw her own pathway, it was very, 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 very easy for us to look at the plan. I remember we were so much in love in our first year that we used to have these moments where we'll ask each other, are we infatuated? So we'll go online, we'll print out a list of things and be like, is this just dumb love? And we'll go through and say, if it's dumb love, then this will happen. We're like, are we this? They will say, okay, we're not. Okay, this may be real love, because it was just such a strong feeling. But 1 year into marriage, I would say that I'm lucky. I'm still trash. I'm a trash human trying to improve and trying to grow. But having someone that is your friend and has your back. Do you know what I mean? Like one thing about one example I give about marriage is that there was a day I received the passcode for something and I didn't know where to keep it. And I was like, oh, I have a partner. I could just put it in our WhatsApp chat. And I know for sure that this password is safe because what I want it for is what this person wants it for as well. I can't trust anybody else on earth. But this person, we're aligned in purpose. So here you go. This is my password for this thing. And I'm very grateful. Shout out to you, Annie. And I look forward to as many more years as we can do it and many years of learning.
I love a good love story.
There's something you said there when we were pre-gaming. You said I don't want the creatives coming behind me to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
Taymesan, what I went through and what I've been through, like, it's not just that. Like, I was the perfect creative. I'm the creative that when my label didn't have money, I said, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Let's use my equipment, let's use my money. And even in those partnerships, I was taken advantage of. I'm the creative that helped so many artists. Told them, don't worry, I don't need anything from you. Go work with this person. And even in those relationships, I was taken advantage of. I'm the creative that I've put in I have 12 projects. Do you know what I'm saying? I've put in so much work into music. I've performed. You ask about me, all these brands. I've performed for many brands. I've done favors for every comedian, every artist. And even in those relationships, I was taken advantage of consistently. And so it's a problem for me. I asked you a question earlier. What problem do you want to take with you before you die? This is the problem with me. Can we change the way the world interacts with creatives? That's the task, Michelle.
Thank you so much, MI. Cheers to us and
cheers.
Our purpose in life and our prelude phase.
And I'm so glad we got to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Honestly.
So thank you, MI.
Peace and love.